Today's very special episode of the Bill Simmons podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Having a high sports IQ is important, as we find out every year during the NBA draft. If your GM doesn't know what he's doing, you are screwed. When it comes to hiring, you actually don't need a high hiring IQ. You just need ZipRecruiter. Their powerful technology scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience for your job. 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in one day. My listeners can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/BS. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Meanwhile, SeatGeek, the best app for buying and selling tickets to sporting events, concerts, and more. For $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase on any game or sporting event for NBA, NHL, baseball, whatever, you know what to do. Just use promo code BS. I might be doing this on Friday. My son's going to be in Boston and wants to go to a Red Sox game with his grandfather. I looked at SeatGeek. There's just green circles everywhere. Apparently nobody's going to Red Sox games anymore. My listeners can check it out. Download the SeatGeek app or go right to SeatGeek.com. Wanted to tell you about Binge Mode Harry Potter. It launched last week. Huge success. I think they are up to 6 episodes. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't watch Harry Potter, but it sounds fantastic. Mallory and Jason are into it. The audience likes it. Check that out. Binge Mode Harry Potter. Also, the Ringer's excellent NBA draft coverage. All week we are having stuff. We have the Ringer's NBA draft guide presented by State Farm, and we will be upping that. Mock drafts. We might do a mock draft every hour. We just keep doing them. 7.0, 8.0, 9.0, 10.0. This is going to be a fun one because there's going to be trades. We will be there. When there's trades, we will have reactions. Kevin O'Connor, Jonathan Tjarks, Danny Chow, Mark Titus, Haley O'Shaughnessy, all of our NBA dudes and ladies. They're all ready. They're ready to roll. We're ready for weirdness. Last but not least, courtside at the NBA Finals on HBO. The final show that I executive produced, it's Tuesday, 9 p.m. with a re-air at 11 p.m. on HBO. We'll talk about that during this show too, but set your DVRs. You miss basketball. This will be good. You get to relive the finals, and HBO is really good at what they do. Check this out. Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, courtside. All right, coming up, we're going to rip through a mock draft with a variety of Ringer people. It's going to be fun. First, Pearl Jam. All right, it's time for the Ringer Mega Mock Lottery Draft. We're hitting the first 14 picks. We have people calling in as if they are the GMs. They already know who they're going to pick. We did this yesterday. So we're going to call, or they're going to come in and walk into the office. Everybody has about 5 minutes to explain their pick and shoot the shit with me. We have Phoenix on the clock at number 1. Jonathan Tjarks is going to come on. Now, we made him take DeAndre Ayton because one of the things I hate when people do this is they think to themselves, all right, actually, I'm going to take Luka Doncic here. And then you end up with this whole draft that isn't actually how it's going to play out. In this case, we know Ayton is going to go first to the Suns unless he robs a gas station or something in the next 24 hours, which I don't think he will. I think he's going number 1. After that, there's a lot of good stuff in play. And I love this draft because, first of all, we have a bunch of dumb teams in the top 8, top 9. Sacramento, they love to screw up. Atlanta, they just hired a new GM. Memphis has been just a train wreck for the last 10 years of transactions and has somehow succeeded despite themselves. Dallas has not really made a good move in 6 years. Orlando is kind of the NBA's secret train wreck. Chicago's all over the map. Cleveland, who the hell knows? They're at number 8, whether they're picking for next year to compete or they're picking because they think LeBron's leaving. Then you have the Knicks at 9. I mean, they're the Knicks. What else can you say? They took Frank Nidolinko over Donovan Mitchell last year. Philly's at 10. They don't have a GM. Their coach is running their draft, which is always a recipe for disaster. Charlotte's at 11. They have been one of the most incompetent teams for the last 10 years. And then you have the Clippers at 12 and 13. Anything is possible. They're the Clippers. They are the most tortured franchise we probably have, or at least the league's black sheep. And then finally, 14, Denver. Pretty boring. Blah. They'll just take whoever the best one is left. So we're going to call Jonathan Tjarks first. He is going to talk about DeAndre Ayton, and then we are off. The Ringer's mock draft. Here we go. All right, the Ringer's Jonathan Sharks on the line. He's picking for Phoenix. We made him take DeAndre Ayton because we all agree there's no way he's not going first, right?
That certainly sounds like it. Everyone seems to think it's going to happen.
Are you okay with this? Are you okay with DeAndre Ayton going first?
I mean, I wouldn't take him one, but I get why they're doing it. Like, I could look very dumb in a few years not loving this guy. I mean, he's got all the tools, obviously.
The tool that he doesn't have seems to be consistent hard work, which is a red flag. It always makes me nervous, right?
I would just say defensive IQ is just not always there. Like, he's going to be the 5, and he has a long way to go in terms of protecting the rim, reading the floor, and just like really putting in effort on defense in general.
What player does he remind you of? What current NBA player? Is there one?
Boogie Cousins.
Oh, wow. That's loaded.
Yeah, for good and bad. Like, I feel like DeAndre, it's like, imagine if Andre Drummond had a post game and a 3-point shot. It's a great player, but how is that going to work on a team? I don't know.
Yeah. So you would take Luka Doncic with this pick?
If I didn't take Luka, I would take Jaren Jackson. I don't even care. I think he's better than Ayton. But that's just me. That's like, obviously, I'm just a guy. Everybody likes Ayton. He could be really good. He's got all the tools. So
Jaren Jackson, so he's not even 19 yet.
Yeah.
I think he's 18.7. One of the things I like about this year, and I don't know when it started, but everybody started using decimal points for age, which is pretty cool. I am now apparently 48.6. I'm fine with we want to go to decimals. It's cool.
I remember when I was a kid being half year old. I get that. 12 and a half. It's a big difference.
So he's not even 19 yet, Jackson. And I do think, like, I've been thinking about the Clippers and whether it made sense for them to trade up. It certainly seems like they want to get into the top 4 somehow to get a chance at Doncic or whoever they're looking at. I think after the top 3, if the top 3 is Ayton, Doncic, and Jackson in some order, I don't think there's anyone else I would trade up those 2 picks for. Is there any other player you think is worth 12 and 13, especially when guys can drop down?
No, I don't think so. I think Bagley in the right situation could be like, if you have a Marc Gasol and Bagley can play, not protect the rim and be the 4 and be the 5 on offense, I think he'd be great. But other than that, I don't think so. I think those 3 are kind of above trading up.
So you think if Phoenix shocked everyone and took Jackson at number 1, you would be okay with that?
I would. They won't do that, but I'm a blogger, right? It's not my job on the line.
It does seem like Jackson's very Al Horfordy. And
yeah, I would say, like, to me, the thing is, like, I want my 5 to be a great shooter and a great defensive player. And I feel like that's what he has of the other 5s. Whereas like Ayton, he's a post guy. Like, he's a great post scorer. That's great, I guess.
There's so much old school, like, DNA in this draft of take this tantalizing center who probably isn't going to make it. We've seen that guy. I mean, I shouldn't say probably isn't going to make it, but probably is going to make it as the superstar you think he's going to be as the number 1 pick. We've seen this guy before. Like, there's a version of him that's Joe Barry Carroll 40 years ago, where it's like, oh yeah, he's got all the tools. The only thing is not sure about his defensive IQ and how hard he's going to work. And then
I think it helps too, though, in Phoenix playing with Jackson and Booker. That'll make his life a lot easier on offense, at least.
And there's a chance if you put him in a good situation, maybe the upside for him is a little better than like what Boogie had to deal with in Sacramento, right? Like if you put 19,
this is a great spot for him.
Yeah, if you put 19-year-old Boogie on this team, maybe his whole career goes a little differently compared to how it went. I do feel like, we never think about that enough with lottery picks and where they go. And then when we say after, like, oh, that guy was a bust, or oh, I can't believe they took that guy. A big part of it is where they go. Like Tatum went to Boston last year. That was the greatest possible situation you could have ever gone into if you're Jason Tatum, where you have people who can shoot for you and take the offensive load off you. He got all these playoff reps. Like that's like 100% of a win versus what Lonzo Ball had to deal with last year.
Yeah, I think the big key for Phoenix is what happens to the 4 position. Do you play Josh Jackson there? Like, are you dumping Chris and Bender? Do you want to get like a veteran there who could help Ayton out? I think who they get at 4 will be very important for them this year and going forward.
Well, maybe where the league's going, Josh Jackson is, I wouldn't say it's a 4, it's like a 3.5, but it seems like there's a lot of 3.5s out there now, right?
Yeah, it's like, you look at like Minnesota, they brought in Taj Gibson to help Cat on defense, but then it kind of hurt Cat on offense because Gibson can't spread the floor. So can they find that guy who makes Ayton a better defensive player and still gives them room on offense to score.
Hey, last question before you go. Dallas at 5, your team, you're there. If who were you hoping drops to number 5?
I'm hoping Jaren goes or Luka, but that probably is not going to happen.
Yeah, it seems like I'd be really surprised if the top 4 was an Ayton, Doncic, Jackson, Marvin Bagley in some order.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And I think that the draft really falls off after that, which is like, oh man, it's a bummer.
Well, not for Kevin O. Page views. He likes Bamba. He's all in. They force fed the Kool-Aid down his throat when he was at those workouts. he's ready. He's watching those uncontested threes. Well, the thing is, here's why we love the draft. Sacramento could totally take Marvin Bagley at number 2, and then this whole chain events of just disaster. We're going to talk about that with Riley McAtee right now. Charks, as always, a pleasure. Read you on the Ringer NBA Draft Guide, and listen to you on the Ringer NBA show. You're coming into LA, right?
Yeah, I'll be in tomorrow.
All right. Looking forward to
thanks
seeing
for having me on.
All right, picking number 2, Riley McAtee, old Grantland teammate, original Ringer teammate. It's been the year of Riley.
The Rams
are good again. The Rams are good. The Kings are back.
Maybe
we'll kind of. You're in the power seat at number 2.
Yeah. We're in the seat where we get to decide what happens, at least with the rest of the draft.
But the scary part is you're in the seat where you get to decide what happens, and it's the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, that part, it felt like it was going to be easy because it seemed like Phoenix was just going to make the choice for us, and now it's like, oh no. Right. No, not at all.
There's Marvin Bagley rumors.
There's Michael Porter rumors.
There's that too.
Yeah.
But there was an Instagram photo with Vivek's son.
Yeah, there was.
With Doncic, who is the one you want, right? You want Doncic?
I want Doncic, 100%. I'm taking Doncic at 2 if it's me. But yeah, that photo is from like June 5th or 6th, but he put it up there recently. And
we didn't mess with the King fans?
Well, we didn't know that they had all met. We didn't know that Vlade and Vivek and Doncic had met in Spain at that time. And so now it's like, oh, they got dinner together and they kept that under wraps. That's interesting.
I tweeted yesterday, somebody posted video, Doncic won another tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
And he had a good game and, typical, did all this stuff. He looks like, at least in the DNA vicinity of Harden and Ginobili, some of the stuff he does. He's taller, so it's harder to kind of compare all the 3 of those, but that's how he plays, and he's just very herky-jerky, and he's always in control, and he's already a great passer. He's a step-back 3, and I think I would take him first 100 times out of 100. He's also like the Kings. If you think of him on the Kings, they've never really had a great player like that except for C-Web. Boogie was stats great, but he wasn't great.
No, he was... Yeah, it felt like at times the Boogie was putting up empty stats. I don't think that Doncic does that. He's special. He is just a playmaker. He's so creative. He's so skilled. And I get that it's like maybe the wow factor of like athleticism isn't quite there like it is with some of these other guys.
Yeah.
But you just watch him create. And it's like, man, that guy just creates offense. He makes things happen.
As a fan of the team that owns your pick next year, I don't want you to take him.
You want us to take like Jaren Jackson or Michael Porter.
No,
maybe he'll
take
sit
Michael
the whole
Porter.
year.
Yeah, I want you to take Michael Porter, and then he has like a herniated disc.
Oh, God.
We have the Celtics have it unless it's number 1, and then Philly gets it.
Yeah.
But I do believe that if Doncic went there, I think he could be worth like 12 wins. I wonder about the Fox thing with him and Fox and who has the ball. I haven't seen enough of him in Europe to know if like they have a traditional point guard on that team too. But it does seem like he could play anywhere.
That's the one argument I do see for not taking Doncic is that I think if you take him, you want him to have the ball. And if he has the ball, then it's like, what is De'Aaron Fox doing on the court? A guy who's not a shooter and not like a true impact defender. But
it's a good problem to have though.
But it's like, you just take the most talented guy, right? Like the Kings don't have enough talent to be like, oh, well, we're going to draft for fit now. You just need to get the best person. And then you'll worry about the fit with Fox and Doncic later.
We saw Cleveland make this mistake in 2014. They had Kyrie and they had Dan Waiters, and then they had the number 1 pick, and they should have taken Oladipo. It was the safest pick, but it was like, well, we already have Dan Waiters. And it's like, yeah, he's better than Dan Waiters. Make Dan Waiters your 6th man. I was saying this on TV, and people were like, you're killing the Cavs. Like, no, Oladipo's better than Dan Waiters. Sorry.
Do you know who didn't make that mistake, overthinking fit? The Sixers. They took all those centers. They took Noel, and then they took Embiid in like the very next draft.
Yeah.
And it was like...
But unfortunately, then they did take Okafor too.
Yeah, they took Okafor then. But that one was a mistake. But it's like the idea of just taking the number one guy, the best guy, regardless of position, and eventually waiting until you hit a superstar is the right move.
Yeah, especially... I've always wanted the NFL to do this. I would just take a quarterback every year until I ended up with a good one.
Yeah.
No other position matters.
Yeah.
But Boston did this with Tatum. Like the quote unquote fit last year might not have been him, but their thinking was 6'8" guys in the perimeter, interchangeable. All of them can shoot.
Yeah.
In this case, like you take them, you see if it works. And if it doesn't, I really like De'Aaron Fox. And I think he has trade value. I told you what I would do. I would trade him for the 6th pick.
Yeah, I floated that to Kevin Clark actually, and he was like, I'd rather have Trae Young. And I was like, wow, I think you're crazy.
Well, Kevin's coming on later, and unfortunately, it's going to be one of the 3 greatest moments of his life as a Magic fan, just picking Trae Young in a mock draft.
Yeah.
But so if you get Doncic, he comes in. This doesn't open the door now for the Kings to be like, let's win now. Let's make another dumb free agent signing of a veteran guy who's going to be unhappy 4 months from now. They're not going to do that, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be totally opposed to them doing that just because they don't have the 2019 pick. So it's sort of like, as long as you're not getting them on crazy long deals that are going to look really bad in 2020, it's like, why not? We have no pick next year. We might as well just gun for the 8th seed and lose in 4 games to the Warriors, but at least that'll be a fun series going back and forth down I-80.
Well, but that was the case to trade for Kawhi, right?
Yeah, well, okay, but that's different because then you're giving up the number 2 pick and you're giving up like long-term future assets. If we're just signing guys to contracts and free agency, whatever, who cares?
Yeah, but I think I'm thinking I wouldn't do this, by the way. I think this is absolutely idiotic. But if they traded 2 for Kawhi,
yeah,
they did the 1-year all-in flyer on him, and they still controlled like whatever his max contract stuff is. So at least maybe you could trade him or whatever, try to talk him into being the star. The reason I wouldn't do it is I'm not sure he wants to be the star. I think he wants to be on a super team where he doesn't have to deal with all the being the star stuff is my random psychological take.
I wouldn't do it either, but I wouldn't do it just because I think there's no way he resigns. I think he's just
Probably
gone
not.
after 1 year and it's like, wow, why'd we do that?
I'm going to ask you a very tough question. The Kings could do that though, right? It would be a very Kings move to be like, we've got Kawhi Leonard. It's great. He's going to resign here. And then you trade the Doncic pick. I could totally see them doing that.
There's nothing
Sometimes
that they
you got
can't
to
do.
take a risk. I could see Vivek. Like I could see the press conference.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, hey, we'd have one season where we'd have a true superstar. But
we went 44 and 38. Oh, wait, he left.
Yeah.
Just take Doncic. This isn't hard.
Agreed.
It really isn't. I could see them taking Bagley though. He feels like a very kind of over the decades kind of Kings player. He's like, oh, it's 28 points last night, but we lost.
I've tried so hard to talk myself into Marvin Bagley, just mentally preparing for that pick, and I can't do it. I'm like, he's going to be a 20 and 10 guy, but we're going to win like 35 games every year with him.
Very Kingsish. Titus loves him.
Yeah, I know. I read that piece and I came away and I was like, I still can't get my mind off of Luka Doncic.
Worst case scenario is Porter, just because he has the highest injury risk potential by far.
Porter at 2 is wild. You have to, if you want Porter, you got to trade down and get something else. He's got a bad back.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what the trade down is though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's available, but then it's just still like, man, you're passing on so many other guys who are healthy, who can play basketball right now.
Well, I wonder if they could go 2 to 7 and then flip 12 and 13 for 7.
Flip 7 for 12 and 13.
2 to 12. Maybe there's something where they end up with like 7 and 13 for 2.
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I've come up with so many fake trades for this that I can't figure out what the hell's going on. I love the fact that Sacramento is in the power seat though. From a comedy standpoint, it's magnificent. But if this works out, you have the Rams as Super Bowl favorite. Doncic. Anything else going on sports-wise for you? That's really it.
It'd be those two. Yeah. Cal football is not doing anything right now. So
just so people know out there, Riley, probably the most tortured sports fan we have at the Ringer.
Yeah.
Not a lot of highlights. The Rams making the playoffs was your number one highlight since I've known you.
And I've been a fan of them since they moved to Los Angeles. So that's 2 years now. 2
you
long years.
All right. Good luck with Doncic.
Thank you.
All right. Number 3, Danny Chow. The Ringer's number one foodie, as well as the last remaining Dante Exum fan.
Come on.
You don't really have, who's your NBA team though? You don't really have one.
I've never had one.
You've been agnostic. Is that the right word? NBA atheist?
Sure. Agnostic is probably the term here.
Well, we gave you Atlanta for number 3 because we needed to get you in this mock draft, and remember, Brown doesn't know enough about the NBA draft. Off the board is Ayton and Doncic. Riley took Doncic with his fingers crossed, hoping the Kings would listen to him. And now at number 3, Atlanta, who do you take?
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Do you think he should be the number 1 pick in this draft?
So there's a growing suspicion over the last couple of days that I think he might be the best player in this draft. Like, I think he has real potential to be the best player in this draft. You look at this Hawks team, which is kind of building itself as this team of the future. You know, they have Travis Schlenk, who's been with the Warriors for forever. He's the guy who, they credit as the guy who found Draymond Green.
Yeah.
They got Lloyd Pierce, the defensive coordinator for the Sixers last year. This is where you get your 3-and-D big man, the rarest commodity in the NBA right now.
Would you say he's Horford 2.0?
I think
he's taller, right?
I think he has that potential. He's 6'11", 7'5" wingspan, can switch out on the perimeter. He's probably as good at guarding guards as he is at rim protection. And I think he's the best rim protector in this draft.
It does seem like he translates the most to the basketball that we watch.
Yeah.
Because when I go to the finals, I'm always trying to figure out which players could be in the game I'm watching. And he is somebody like, there's just no way if you have somebody who can shoot threes on one end, guard bigs on the other end, that's kind of the jackpot.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like Ayton can do that. Ayton is this old school big man that the success rate of those guys has been pretty hit or miss.
So Ayton has been talking up the fact that, he was playing out of position at Arizona. He played right next to a center. He had to switch out on the perimeter, but there wasn't a lot of space for him to actually do what he can do.
Yeah.
But you saw with Jaren Jackson, he kind of had the same situation. He was playing next to a center. He was playing next to another, lottery guy in Miles Bridges. He found a way to make it work.
Right.
Yeah, and he's one of the youngest guys in the lottery.
He's 18.7 years old.
It's incredible.
What's your decimal point age?
I turn 27 in November. So
you're 26.6?
Something like that.
Isaac, what are you?
I'm 23.7.
I love this
Unreal.
new decimal thing. Did we start it or did somebody else start it?
This is definitely a Draft Express thing.
We can't take credit for it?
No.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I really like the decimals.
Gavoni was on this for a while now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry, Gavoni. So Atlanta, Jaren Jackson, Dennis Schroeder.
Who knows how long he's there?
How are you trading a point guard who makes $18 million a year when everybody has a point guard?
That's true.
And then
John Collins,
who we like.
That's an interesting front court. Very athletic. Jaren Jackson kind of covers for a lot of what Collins can't do.
I actually do like that, but I do like that front court.
It's fun and it's exciting.
Yeah.
The one thing with Jaren Jackson, you worry about his shot. Like, he shot 40% from 3 in college, but his form is a little bit wonky, a little bit unorthodox. He just kind of needs the reps. But from what I've seen, his touch is awesome. So I'm not too worried about it. But if there's one thing you can like really maybe poke a hole in, it's like, well, his shot was good for college. You don't know how it's going to be in the pros.
Yeah, the 40% college thing, I never get too carried away with
Right.
that because that's such a small sample size. It could be like 41 for 102.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like if he missed 3 shots, now it's 38,
Yeah.
But at least he makes them. I mean, you want to know he's in the vicinity. And it seems like he's a good character guy too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If I was picking one, I don't know what I would do if I was Phoenix because it really does seem like this is the kind of guy you'd want.
Yeah,
But then if you put the number 1 bullseye on him, then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they took him 1. And now there's all these pressures in. This scenario is the best scenario for him. He goes to Atlanta, he's 3rd, he's under the radar. They're going to suck for 3 more years.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll just kind of get his reps.
Yeah. I've talked to Suns fans and they're just like, we're cursed. This number 1 pick, it's either it's a no-brainer or it's a toss-up. And I feel like in this year it's a toss-up.
But you would take Luka first, right?
I would take Luka first.
So our entire staff would take Luka first. It really does.
Yeah.
All of us.
Mm-hmm.
KOC seems like he is probably the most bullish on Jackson going first. You're probably number 2.
Really? I thought Sharks would have been. I feel like Charks has been our Jaren Jackson zealot for the entire year.
Charks is in on Luka. It sounded like. Isn't that what he said, Isaac?
He is, but he is in on Jackson.
He'd be okay with Jackson.
Yeah,
too.
He's been saying that Jackson would probably be the best big in the draft.
Yeah,
since I don't know,
since
February.
Yeah.
It does seem like after this pick, it drops off. We have like the three sure things, basically. Everyone was saying it was the tiers. It was like Doncic, Ayton in the top tier. But now it seems like Jackson's drifted into that top tier, and we have a 3-person tier.
Yeah, it's just he fits so much with everything that we're seeing and everything that we're going to see in the next 3 years in the NBA. It's really easy to project him as a guy who makes a huge difference on any team he plays on.
Jaren Jackson Sr.?
I remember him from his Spurs days, but
so that's the dad, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's kind of amazing.
Yep. So yeah, that's why I actually think his shot might translate, because Jaren Jackson Sr. was a clutch shot maker for the Spurs.
Yeah.
So
I like that too. I like the son of an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've seen over and over again. Like I talked about that with Donovan Mitchell on the pod a couple weeks ago about these guys that these kids are around locker rooms and they're just kind of used to the life. They're not surprised by stuff. They have a parent telling them, don't do this, don't do that. Just the adjustment thing's better. Give me your biggest food recommendation right now.
So yesterday, Father's Day, my brother made an amazing tomahawk ribeye chop.
Oh, tomahawk. So you're number one for tomahawk now?
Actually, no. He had a ribeye cap, which is arguably a more beefy cut.
Yeah.
Than the tomahawk. The tomahawk's really just,
for
show. It's beautiful. It looks amazing. You could kind of wield it as an axe. But my brother had a couple steaks out there. It was delicious. Sous vide,
The tomahawk. Tomahawk's gaining steam. All right, Danny Chow. Always a pleasure. Write some food columns, please. Once we get through the draft, write about food.
Once we
force
get through
you to
this,
do it.
Sure.
Right. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Quick break to talk about Burrow. I have good news. Burrow has reinvented the luxury couch. From style to shipping, Burrow's put the time and thought into furniture buying so you do not have to. Customize your Burrow sofa to fit your personality by selecting the color, size, armrest height that's perfect for you. It's super comfortable, adaptable. If your space changes, the modular design allows it to move and grow with you. It assembles and disassembles in just minutes. No tools required. Perfect if you ever have to move. With stain-resistant fabric and a built-in USB charger, Burrow has the durability and functionality to keep up with your hectic life. All Burrow furniture shipped fast, shipping free. Enjoy 30 days of cozy on your Burrow, risk-free, or try out Burrow at one of their showrooms today. They actually sent us some, and it was just in time because we got a couple new Ringer offices, and you know what we needed? Couches. Nice couches. So thank you, Burrow. For $75 off your order, visit burrow.com/BS. That is BURROW.com/BS for $75 off your purchase. Back to the mock draft. All right, on the line from Memphis, Chris Vernon. He hosts the Tuesday NBA podcast that we have in the Ringer NBA show with Kevin O. Page Views. Chris Vernon, Memphis, it looks like it's a top 3 draft and then it drops off and Memphis has the 4th pick. What are you rooting for to happen as you look at this?
I'm rooting for Marvin Bagley to be available at 4.
Okay. Explain yourself.
He's the best player in the draft.
Whoa.
I don't know what people I don't know what people need to see. This guy was getting like 30 and 20 against Virginia. There's like teams that couldn't get 30 points against Virginia. Like at what point in his life have you ever watched a basketball game that featured Marvin Bagley and did not think that's the best guy on the court? That's happened since he was like 10 years old. So I honestly have no idea what everybody is watching.
Wow. You came in hot. I like this. So the rap on Bagley is can't play defense.
Yeah, that's the rap on James Harden and the rap on Steph Curry and the rap on like Damian Lillard and like almost every awesome player in the league outside of Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, and a handful of others. I'm unconcerned with that. And by the way, one of my favorite players of all time and a guy that is going to have a statue in front of FedEx Forum is Zach Randolph. So please don't tell me about throwing a guy in a pick and roll. If my guy can get me 25 and 18, I can live with the fact that, and I think honestly his defensive missteps are overrated. Played with like 5 freshmen. They played zone all the time, and people blame Marvin Bagley for him having to go to zone. I think that's goofy. He plays with a motor, and he's not. And you get a coach that can coach him up. I don't think he is an unwilling defender, and he's certainly not athletically deficient. I can fix that.
So we just watched the finals. I always like to project these guys in the finals I just watched. I could see him on the Cavs, right? He could have played there. He would have been the other forward with Kevin Love and LeBron, getting points, probably getting burned on defense like everybody else. Where does he play on the Warriors? Could you see him in the Jordan Bell spot?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yes, he could play either. Because the other thing is the last line of defense is what? Getting the rebound, right? You get a stop, you get the rebound. And this guy, and in fact, you see, if you can grab rebounds every single game that you play, right? Like that's the other thing about the whole defensive knock. I don't think there is a team in the world that Marvin Bagley can't get minutes for. You know, I listened to your Kyrie podcast, and I was thinking about Bagley the other day because in the midst of that, you know, Coach K said he's been at Duke 38 years, and I've had one other guy like Bagley, and it was Kyrie, and he only got to play 8 games.
Yeah, so
I don't think Coach K's putting his name to that. He's had all manner of great players over the last couple of years, even, and he's putting his name to it.
So Titus loves him too for us. Titus is coming up later to do Cleveland. I am in the camp of it depends what team he goes to, because I can see a scenario where his entire career he's just a good stats for bad teams guy. But I like this Memphis fit for him, especially.
Oh, he's perfect next to Gasol, especially because they got Gasol stretched out to the 3-point line.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's exactly what they had with Debo for so many years.
Yeah, but a little more, more athletic though.
Oh right, it's the dream. It's the dream.
So
I cannot believe he would be available at 4. That would be insane to me. But hey, I'll take him.
As we know with Memphis, though, they're prone to do really dumb things. It's the franchise that took Hasheem Thabeet over James Harden and Russell Westbrook. That happened. That was an actual NBA event. Oh, Steph Curry was the next year, right?
No, same year.
Oh wait. Oh, you're right. It was Westbrook wasn't in that draft. No, it was James Harden and Steph Curry. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, they took Kevin Love and then flipped him for OJ Mayo.
Yeah, that happened the year before.
The Westbrook year. Yes.
And somehow Chris Wallace, the guy who did both those things, still has his job, which has always been incredible. But as we've known, we've said this. I think you were the one who coined this. When the apocalypse happens, the only people that will be left are Chris Wallace and some plants, and that's it. But in this case, the Grizzlies have had this just horrible run. But now, if they can get Gasol and Conley healthy, which I am dubious of that, I think those guys have a lot of miles in them. But let's say they are. Let's say they bring Bagley in and he can produce right away. They bring Tyreek Evans back. They have a couple role players. They sign one free agent. There is a case for them to win somewhere between 40 and 45 games, I would think, right?
Well, and the other thing is they've got the 32nd pick, which is a great pick.
Yeah.
So you got to nail that too. Right? You've got to nail that too. There's always someone available at 32 that can end up really helping a team. Same way there's always somebody at 4. I was looking at this the other day. I'm trying to talk myself into having the 4th pick isn't that bad. Almost every year over the course of the past decade, you can go through the top 3 and we would redo them. The only one that you could argue is probably 2 years ago when it went Ingram, or it went Simmons, Ingram, and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
But by the way, everybody thought that the Celtics were goofy for taking Jaylen 3, right? They wanted Chris Dunn or they wanted Dragon Bender or whoever it might have been. But virtually every other year. So the point is, there's always somebody better than the top 3 available at 4. You just you got to nail it.
Yeah. And the problem is with Memphis, I could totally see them taking Michael Porter and you having a conniption in your next podcast with us.
Oh, listen, no, my great fear is that they trade back a couple of spots to take somebody that they say they really like, and get another starter from another team to get off the Parsons contract. That they use the most valuable asset that they've had in order to make up for a former mistake, and then they justify it by saying, hey, we got 2 starters out of this draft.
Yeah, that's a classic NBA thing where you make a horrible mistake and then you give up an asset to try to save the horrible mistake, so it ends up being the double horrible mistake. I remember Matt Millen or Steve Mariucci one time on the NFL Network. He was talking about Joey Harrington, and they were talking about remember when they took all those receivers over and over again, and he said the mistake wasn't all of the receivers. We never admitted that Joey Harrington was a mistake, and then we just kept trying to make up for it. We kept saying that Joey Harrington's not good because he doesn't have receivers, and so it's always a fool's errand to try to make up for a mistake that you've made. Last question: Which player would you be most excited if they fell to you out of the top 3? Or you would still take Bagley no matter what?
3? Yeah, Doncic would be the next one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's a
Doncic
scenario.
Would be the next one. Just because. Yeah, and I'm turning in an article today actually to you guys about guys that we'll always look back and we're going to see that there are guys that failed and we'll go, maybe we should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
And so maybe with like Ayton, it's a motor, or it's Jackson, he only played 21 minutes a game, or whatever it may be. But I see no scenario in which Marvin Bagley is a failure, and I see no scenario where Doncic is a failure. He's just too good at basketball.
All right, Chris Vernon, thank you. All right, Jason Gallagher is here.
Yes.
Our very creative person behind the scenes in the video thing. You've seen him pop in some videos.
Yeah, occasionally. I try to stay out of it, though.
You do what part of your job is you do NBA Desktop for us every week.
That's true.
I made a controversial appearance on Friday's Desktop with Tanya Hubbard. We were filming each other. It got very dark.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful filmmaking and decision making.
It really was. It was like a Fellini movie.
Yeah, it was.
So Dallas on the clock at 5.
Yep.
Chris Vernon just took Bagley at 4.
Mm-hmm.
The top 3 is what the top 3 is.
Uh-huh.
So what do you do at number 5?
When you hang out with Kevin O'Connor long enough, he starts to try to convert you to his belief system, and he's essentially convinced me that Mo Bamba's the guy.
Okay.
He's convinced me. He's been on a crusade. 2 weeks ago, I was pretty out on him, but he's just been texting me every day, little tidbits of Mo Bambaism. Longest wingspan in combine history, Jason. Did you know that? He can finish around the rim. Baseline, he's defensive presence, but the upside is he's a cornerstone. And it's really gotten to me, Bill. And I've now converted to the Church of Mo Bamba.
Oh, you
I'm in. He's got me.
Did KOC take the Kool-Aid from the Mubamba's workouts? Did he pour it over your head, or did he force you to drink it?
He sort of forced me at first, and then I started asking questions. Well, what about this? What about that? And then he's just like, go watch interviews. Okay, so he's so intelligent, yada yada. I'm impressed by Mo Bamba now. I'm on the island. Evan's like judging me right now. He's a Mavs fan too. So yeah.
So Dirk and Mo Bamba.
You can't factor Dirk in anymore.
Why? Dirk's never leaving. Dirk's never leaving.
He's never leaving, but
Dirk is like Daryl Hammond on Saturday Night Live. He's just going to be there until you make him go.
My favorite thing on Mavs blogs is they're like, well, we got to start thinking life after Dirk. And it's like
4 years ago?
Yeah, forever ago. Not now. I mean, yeah. So that kind of shows you the state of Dallas right now. Yeah, I'm really I've bought into Mo Bamba. I have. I think that everything KOC says is very intriguing. I think that he's probably the most conservative of the picks. Like everyone has like this downside, and for him, it seems like at worst he's just going to be like a presence on defense, which is great. I don't know. That's kind of where I've talked myself into it. And then I watched
really sad times for the Mavs.
It really, really is, and.
No party wants to take Trae Young and hope
every
that
part of me. But if I'm a real
Curry.
GM, then no. But if I'm fake GM, Jace, I was just talking with Shoemaker about it. Trae Young, but totally. Are you kidding? I went to college in Oklahoma. I used to gamble like every fucking night. I would totally go for Trae Young. But
does it bother you that the Mavericks haven't made a good move in 6 years?
It does bother me. Thank you for asking.
Because that kind of opens the door for a lot of possibilities at pick 5.
It does. So obviously the dream scenario is that Doncic falls to like 4 or something, and then you are able to trade 5 and like Barnes for Parsons' terrible contract and 4, and hopefully get Doncic. That's the goal. Many people in Dallas don't want to do that. I've listened to a lot of Dallas sports radio.
So Doncic falls to 4.
Yes.
You flip Barnes. You take Chandy back.
Take him back. He and Q's just back out on the town. Let's go.
And the goal is just Doncic.
Yeah.
I would do that in 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
What am I losing with Harrison Barnes?
There's so many people in Dallas that are like, Barnes is a cornerstone. Don't touch it. I'm not kidding.
A cornerstone of what?
That's what I've been trying to say. Maybe if you're close, he's a good guy to have, but not if you're as far away. Like the Mavericks are far away.
He is one of those frustrating guys that on the right night.
Yeah.
Like I remember the Celtics played in Dallas during the winning streak.
Yes.
And it was like just kind of Barnes taking us on. And Barnes can look really competent sometimes. And you're like, wow, this guy, Barnes.
He's good.
But then the next game he'll have 3 points.
Nah, he's one of those guys that's like great leader, great presence, can do some stuff, but he's not. Oh my God, I would trade him so fast, and then I would go to sleep so heavy and easy if I knew that I could trade Barnes and it would wind up with Doncic in a heartbeat.
That's a really interesting trade.
That's the one that's swirling probably the most.
I could see
in
the
Dallas.
Grizzlies doing that.
Yeah. No, totally.
Because you get Barnes.
Yeah.
Then you get whatever you get at the 5th pick. You get 2 starters out of it, and you get rid of the Parsons contract. I would do that.
Yeah. And I mean,
great trade. Great fake trade.
Hey,
You've
guys.
been the fake trade of the trade day so far.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Barnes is great. If anyone from Memphis is listening, Barnes is great.
He's great. You'll love him. He's a great role player.
Yeah,
He's the 3rd best player in a title team.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, you could say he was the 4th best player in a championship team.
Totally. At times, maybe 3.5. I don't know.
Just don't watch game 7 of the 2016 finals.
Yeah.
Or
Just
game
erase
6.
that from. I'm going to flag all those on YouTube since I know how to do that now.
So Mo Bamba, Dirk Nowitzki, Barnes, Wes Matthews, and Dennis Smith, who we have no idea if he's good or not.
No, I think you have to go in on Dennis.
Okay,
you
good.
have to go in on him.
Would you want to play basketball with him?
Me?
Yeah.
Sure, but
If
I
you
would
were like
play
a 2
basketball
guard?
with anybody.
Okay.
No, in all seriousness, Dennis. I mean, right now he played really well last year. I think last year was like rookie class was an anomaly. And any other year he would have been really impressive. 2 years ago, who won rookie of the year? What's his name? From Milwaukee?
Oh,
Malcolm
Brogdon. Well,
Yeah.
we don't count that one.
I know, but I'm just saying Dennis would have won rookie of the year hands down that year.
All right. So you got Mo Bamba, but you're voting for. No, I'm just going to ignore that. So you're picking Mo Bamba, but you're rooting for the Barnes and 5
100%. Yes.
for Parsons and 4 trade.
Yes.
All right, Jason Gallagher. What's your next video project for us?
Probably more NBA desktop.
Okay, great.
I got to think about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, this is one of the 3 greatest moments in Kevin Clark's life. Lifetime Orlando Magic fan gets to pick for the Magic in a mock draft and pick the guy he wants, which means they won't actually
I'm
take that
turning the
person.
card in early. You know
Turning it
those
in
picks
early.
where they just like they don't even take the time on the clock. They just turn it in because they've got their guy.
Yeah.
Trae Young.
Trae Young, that's it.
That's it. I'm in. It's between in a lot of mock drafts between Mo Bamba and Trae Young here. I don't think it's much of a decision because
Well, Mo Bamba's off our board.
Mo
so
Bamba's
it's no
off the
decision.
board, but I'm saying in a lot of situations that has been the decision. And for me, once I saw Trae Young was available, I just jumped at him. I think he's what the Magic need. There's a lot of potential downsides to him, but
Yeah.
I just think what the Magic need to get out of their 6-year tailspin is scoring, excitement, and superstar potential. And that's what Trae Young has.
Bamba would be just an atrocious pick for them. You already have 2 centers.
So
That would seem like the most magic pick ever.
in KOC's draft guide,
Yeah.
he calls Bamba a theoretical shooter, which is just the Magic lead the league in theoretical shooters.
Yeah.
That was Rob Hennigan drafted based on who the most theoretical shooter was. Mario Hezonja was a real shooter who became a theoretical shooter in Orlando. And so Trae Young is a legitimate guy who can score. I'm so glad he's there because he's exactly what the Magic need.
So Trae Young goes to the Magic. Let's say it happens.
Okay.
Most fun player you've had since Penny Hardaway? Has there been a more fun Magic player on paper?
I'm just going to say this, and this
I won't laugh.
might be a homework.
I'll
there.
never laugh at you
Are
with the
we
Magic.
totally sure that Hito Turkoglu wasn't fun in 2009?
steroids? With the steroid era, Hito Turkoglu?
Well, everybody. I mean, we had some issues on that team, but it's fine. I mean, no one's discounting. Sammy
Hito
Sosa was fun. The Bash Brothers were fun in Oakland. No one had less of a good time. Everybody loved the steroid era of baseball. Okay, well, they had a steroid era for the Magic. It was just as fun.
He knew that couple years when he would just be at the top of the key and they would set him a pick and he would do weird Hito things and then shoot a three and it would go in.
Well, the best was when Jameer
and
Nelson.
then it ended quickly.
I wonder it's weird how sometimes guys test positive for banned substances and then they tail off. So it was the best part of that team was when Jameer Nelson got hurt and then Hito could just handle the ball and cut out the middleman and just go to the top of the key and shoot a three. It was a good time for me.
So all right, walk me through. Trae Young comes to the Magic.
Yeah.
You have Jonathan Isaac. Vucevic, is he on the team again?
I guess. I mean, we've been trying. We're in year 4 of trying to trade him, I guess.
He'll be off the team. We still trying to trade him. And Biyombo, you got 2 years left.
We have 2 years left to Biyombo. My suggestion for Vooch is we trade him to 1997 when he would have been really a valuable key player to a team.
Like a time machine trade?
Yeah, a time machine. Yeah, we just find someone in 1997, we give it to him.
Trying to get back I'm trying to think of some shooter from 1997. Was Del Curry around still then? Maybe he was.
Glenn Rice?
Mitch Richmond. Yeah, Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice. Good 1997 Glenn Rice.
It's a great trade.
Vooch straight up. Okay, so I guess the contracts wouldn't match up. But yeah, at this point.
I like that's your biggest problem with the time machine trade, that there might be some contract issues. not just the time machine part. That part's been solved, but I don't know if it fits within the salary cap.
So the Magic don't have a lot of assets. And
no, it's amazing because you picked in the top 8 for the entire decade, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, starting in 2013.
Starting with the Dwight Howard year.
Starting with Oladipo, who was second overall.
So this is your 6th straight year picking in the top 7. I'm going to say.
Yeah, and not only that, but what the return we got back for Dwight were first-round picks. Vooch, Mo
The
Harkless.
Dwight trade was great for Orlando in retrospect.
Yeah, we won
you
it.
got a lot of assets.
No one actually.
Nobody won. Everyone
won
lost.
that trade.
But if there was a winner, it was Orlando.
It was like World War I.
Yeah.
So as I say it all the time. So the Magic, I don't know. If you're asking me where they go from here, the answer is I don't know, because I would assume at this point, Gordon, who I guess they'll match any offer. That's been the report. They will match any offer that they get for Aaron Gordon. I'm okay with it just because we need to keep any semblance of talent that we have. Okay.
You know how I stand. If I was other teams and I hear that Orlando says that, I would just immediately max the offer.
Yeah.
Just screw them over.
I don't think the Magic need any help screwing themselves over.
I think
we'll do this
ourselves.
Guys, we've got this. We're good. So you have Isaac, who only played 30 games last year.
We like Isaac, though.
We like Isaac. A lot of he's clearly the leader in the clubhouse for off-season puff pieces. He's putting on muscle. He's in the gym.
Working on his 3-point shot.
3-point shot. I'm all in on the puff piece circuit there for Jonathan Isaac. So I think we like Isaac, but again, 30-game sample size, you never know. He established himself as a perimeter defender, which I like. I think Clifford can, and one of the reasons I like Trae Young is I think that Clifford can scheme the defense into a point that it's okay. The fact that he's a limited defender doesn't worry me. I think that a Steve Clifford team can carry a Trae Young on defense.
Okay. Trae Young, I'm trying to picture him in the uniform. I just see him with a sad look in a very ugly blue and black old school Orlando uniform.
The
just
throwbacks?
Going 2 for 30.
It could definitely
That's
happen.
our worst case scenario. Best case scenario is he becomes a star. It's Orlando. There's a Disney ride for him. I don't know. I'm just trying to talk it through.
He lives on a nice golf course somewhere. Yeah.
He becomes friends with Tiger Woods.
Tiger left Orlando. He's in Jupiter now.
Oh, he's gone. He doesn't come to the Magic games anymore?
Orlando's greatest asset has left. He needs a place to park.
So are you now
yacht.
Orlando's biggest celebrity fan?
Ian Poulter?
Okay.
Is it still me?
You guys are in the finals.
Is it still me? Bubba Watson?
All right. Well, congratulations. I hope this works out.
Thank you.
All right. Wanted to tell you about Courtside at the NBA Finals. It premieres June 19th, 9 p.m. on HBO. Re-airs 11 p.m. Same channel, HBO. Also available on all the HBO platforms, HBO On Demand, HBO Go, all that stuff. It will be available right after the first episode premieres. I was at the finals for 11 or 12 days. Turned out to be a sweep, but it was cool. The narratives were good. We wanted to create a show that resembled a little bit the shows I grew up with in the 1980s with, after the season ended, NBA Entertainment would put out these awesome 1-hour specials about the finals with a whole bunch of cool camera shots and music and inside access, all that stuff. We had some workarounds this time around. These guys are super famous. It's hard to just put mics on Steph Curry during a game. But I liked where we landed. And I think the show is cool. And I think if you love basketball, I would definitely give this one a chance. Plus, you miss basketball. Basketball's been gone for like 10 days. So check it out. Courtside at the NBA Finals, June 19th, 9 p.m., HBO. And guess what? The HBO sports team is really, really talented. They're good at this stuff. So there it is. Back to the mock draft. All right, on the line right now, Robert Mays from The Ringer. Normally he's a football guy and a Metallica guy, and he wrote a Gaslight Anthem oral history that was pretty great last week. But he's also a Bulls fan. The Bulls on the clock at 7. It's been an up and down history for them. You know who's off the board at this point. Who would you take for the Bulls at 7?
I mean, I think I have to go with Michael Porter Jr. just because the upside is so tantalizing. It's hard to ignore. Obviously, the risks are there in several different ways, but I mean, this is a team that is pretty much a blank slate in terms of their direction. They don't have many building blocks. It's not as if like, well, he kind of overlaps with somebody else's skill set. No, I mean, there's so little to work with there that I think you just have to go for the guy that could be the biggest factor and have the biggest impact down the line. And I think that's him with the guys that are still left.
Who would you compare? Have you studied him? Have you been on YouTube watching Michael Porter clips?
I was on YouTube watching Michael Porter clips last year because he went to Missouri.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's right.
He was going to my alma mater, and I was very excited about it, and then we didn't get to watch him play. So I'm familiar with him and have been for a while, and I just think that the weaknesses and the downside people see in his game, the fact that the shot selection is kind of erratic, he's not a very good ball handler in tight spaces, things like that, those are nitpicky to me. I think a high school kid that can drain just from anywhere like he can with unlimited range is probably going to have a pretty terrible shot selection. So that I don't mind. I feel like when he settles into the NBA, those things will kind of fade. In my mind, it's more so the injury stuff and just overall just his personality. It seems to be grating on people. But the game itself, I'm very excited about. At 7, I think he'd be impossible to pass up.
The personality, it seems like there's a 50% chance he gets punched by Bobby Portis, right?
That's exactly right.
55%? Not sure. Somewhere in the 50s.
It's probably better than 50-50. I go like 54%.
Okay. Well, there's 46% chance he won't get punched. And you kind of glossed over the health stuff, but that's the biggest reason that he would be available at number 7. Yeah. Teams can't even see his medicals. We have we have really no idea what's totally wrong with him. It seems like there's a back issue, but I haven't even really heard a perfect explanation for it. Have you?
No, I haven't either. It was kind of shrouded in mystery when he was at Mizzou. People didn't know when he'd be coming back, if he would be coming back. And you think about back issues with not a small man. He's pushing 6'11". And that's the type of stuff that him being 19 is like, oh, God, that's exciting. But then having back issues at 19, that you have to have pause with that. And that worries me. But again, I just feel like he's the only guy remaining that you could take at 7, and he could end up being the best player from this draft. Like Wendell Carter's solid. I like him. I'd like him on my basketball team. But I just think if you're the Bulls and you have so little going forward that are just the pillars of your franchise, you need somebody that can be an all-star.
Do you see any scenario where Porter and Markkanen are the two bigs on a team that's like in the 3rd round of the NBA playoffs?
I don't think Porter's necessarily a big. I think he's a guy that can handle the ball a little bit on the outside. He can shoot. I think that's fine. You just need the right players alongside them. I think you need, and the fact that Chris Dunn got a lot better last season, I'm not saying Chris Dunn is the building block of a playoff team, but a defense first point guard, somebody like that, you need a really solid, defensive big man to pair with those guys. But I think that the type of team can exist that you'd be excited about if those were your two best players.
Okay. I'm less excited about that than you. I'm just trying to picture.
Fine. I don't have much to work with right now. You got to give me it when I have a chance. There's not much to be excited about with this franchise. I can tell you that right now. This is the best option, I think, at 7 that they could have.
You wouldn't trade up or trade down?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if Porter's there at 7, I think that would be the scenario that I'm happy with.
Would you trade back to like 12 and try to get Tobias Harris for 7 if the Clippers were over the moon about somebody?
Not if Porter was there. I'd rather have Michael
You're
Porter.
really
at
in
7
on
than Scott
Porter.
there.
Was he was the number one high school player a year ago, right?
Yes. And that's the thing. I just don't feel like we're that far removed from him being the guy that everyone loved. And it's so hard to turn away from how well he shoots at that size. And he has the requisite athleticism to be a good defender in the right situation. I just feel like there's too much there to walk away from if he's around at 7.
Would
would be the best case scenario.
Would you do Pilates with him to build up his core so he would to reduce the pressure on his back?
Sure, that sounds great. I'd probably have to start working out again anyway. So if he wants to come up here and do it, he's already here actually. I think he lives in Chicago. So yeah, if he's down, I'm available.
Would you take him to Soul Cycle at 6 a.m. with your girlfriend or no?
I don't go to Soul Cycle, okay? Soul Cycle is not what I do. Soul Cycle is kind of weird. I'm not going to get into the particulars of my workout routine, but if he would like to be a part of it, then I'm more than willing.
All right, so this is a bonus for Michael Porter. You'll be workout, but you'll be like Hans and Franz. You'll be workout buddies. Just going
That sounds
out.
great. If he wants some help, like, getting to know Chicago, if he wants me to show him around, that's fine. We're still in the NFL offseason. I've got some time. I'd be more than willing.
How would you describe your feelings about Gar Forman and John Paxson in one word after all these years?
Complicated.
Okay. I mean, it seems like you might have won the Jimmy Butler trade.
I don't know. There's way too many emotions involved with that for me to just come out and say, yeah, it was a clear victory. It's not bad. The fact that Markin has actually turned into a useful player. I mean, all that stuff is exciting, and I'm happy about it. But I still watch Jimmy Butler play and just get pangs into my chest because I miss him so much.
Yeah, but I think he would have been unhappy in that whatever you could have gotten for him would have just started to drop as the next 2 years went along, would be my takeaway.
It was time. I mean, I wouldn't have been upset if it had happened the year before, just because I think that something drastic needed to go down for this team to get out of the muck that it had been mired in. And this was it.
That should be your next Ringer oral history, is just what the hell happened on the 2017 Bulls. The weirdest chemistry team of all time.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to know. I have no interest in delving into that. That's like my own personal hell. No, thank you. Give me another assignment. I'll take it. But that's not what I'm going to wade into willingly at all.
The over-under on guys getting their jaw broken by a teammate was probably like 2.5. So you went under on that. You only had 1. But it could have been more.
Great.
Could have
been
real
more. Rosy outlook.
Robert Mays, always a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
All right, the Ringer's Mark Titus on the line, host of One Shining Podcast, America's favorite college basketball podcast. Although now it's more. Now it's more than just college basketball. You know what the order has been so far. I think you didn't hear the rest of this podcast, but I think you would have enjoyed the most of any moment during the podcast. Chris Vernon passionately declaring Marvin Bagley the best player in the draft and being in disbelief that Memphis got him at 4. So you have a partner in crime on that. You're picking for Cleveland at 8. You have 2 choices here. You can pick the player that you think they would take if they thought LeBron was coming back, or the player you think they would take if they're hedging their bets for if LeBron comes back or if he leaves. Either way, they'll be happy. So what did you decide?
So first of all, I think they have to trade the pick, right? Like if we're talking like the real draft, if they're trying to keep LeBron, like they have to get more talented players. LeBron is not going to get excited about whoever they pick at number 8. The only assets they have are the 8th pick and Kevin Love. I think they have to trade this pick, right? If they're trying to keep LeBron. But for the purposes of this exercise, in my view, that's it. Like they have to trade the pick to keep LeBron, or if they're assuming LeBron's gone, then you don't even worry about it. I don't think there's anybody that they can draft at number 8, basically, that's like, okay, now LeBron is staying. So I had 2 different thoughts. My first thought was I really thought Trae Young should be the guy. I think like if LeBron leaves, just swing for the fences and take like the most boom or bust player probably in the draft. But then I think it was Kevin Clark took Trae Young, right?
Yeah.
Took him off the board for me. And then I started thinking about it more, and it flipped the other way. I was like, Cleveland is going to be put in a situation if LeBron leaves that these next 5 years are huge. I am very fearful as an Ohioan that the Cleveland Cavaliers will never be relevant again. I think they just got to like basically stop the bleeding for these next 5 years and take the guy that makes the most sense, the best player that's probably available at this point in the draft, the best 2-way wing in the draft, Mikal Bridges. So that is my pick. I think my biggest flaw as an NBA GM whenever we do these sorts of things is I always like the guys who are good players now, which is why I'm also excited about Marvin Bagley. I like the guys that just like, I see you. I see how good you are right now. I need you on my team. Mikal Bridges, best player on Villanova. Jalen Brunson won National Player of the Year. Tate and I were talking about this on our podcast all year about how Jalen Brunson is not even the best player on his team. Mikal Bridges was definitely the best player on that team. He's a winner, all that kind of stuff. Everything. I love everything about his game. I think he's the best player at the number 8 spot. So I think that's what the Cavs have to do.
And what's interesting about that pick is he works for either direction. If LeBron leaves, it's still good to have him on the team and he could still do stuff. What NBA player would you compare him to?
The one he always gets is Kerry Kittles, but I think that's just because they both went to Villanova.
Kerry Kittles?
I know. That's what I've heard Kerry Kittles. Maybe that's just Tate. Tate always says Kerry Kittles.
Kerry Kittles? I don't see that one at all. I was thinking, to me, it seemed like in our Ringer NBA draft guide, we had Robert Covington, Eddie Jones, Tony Snell, which Tony Snell, I think, is insulting. Should not have been on there. But could he be like a better version of Robert Covington? I actually think he could. Could he be a rich man's Robert Covington?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if
I don't see why not. Yeah,
that's a great guy to have because everybody in the league, you need those multiple. You need that guy to stop multiple scorers on each team. They certainly don't have that guy, as we witnessed in the playoffs. So,
I think he's definitely not the best player on a championship team. All that, but at number 8, I think we're at that point where those guys are off the board, right? So. You have to start thinking otherwise, and I don't know.
I went to Game 4 of the finals with you at the Factory of Sadness, and it did get sad in the crowd in the fourth quarter. There was a feeling of gloom that was looming. You got sad. You stopped talking for a while. It just was got super sad in there. It wasn't even like really that. I thought there would be like a big standing O MVP chant, and it was different. It just got sad.
Unlike every other team, this is not about LeBron leaving. This is like as soon as LeBron leaves, it's not like, okay, well, cool, that was fun that we had LeBron. Now let's try to go get the next great player. I think there's this understanding that when LeBron leaves Cleveland, the Cavs very well may be irrelevant for the next 2 decades, if not longer.
Yeah,
and that's I think playing into it. So,
well, if you're still on pace of winning a lottery every 2.5 years, I think you'll be fine. That's basically what's happened since 2003, right? You've won 4 lotteries in, I guess that would be every 4 years. So you just got to keep that pace for the rest of the decade. Do you think there's any chance? I'm trying to think what the trade would be. I think Love would have to go in whatever trade it was. And I actually think he's underrated. And I was thinking about Indiana, your other favorite team. Is there a Miles Turner, Kevin Love type trade that would carve out some cap space for Cleveland? Then you get Mikal Bridges and you just kind of sell LeBron on a younger team that he can grow into.
I like that trade for both teams. I don't think LeBron likes that though.
Do you think he's out?
If I'm LeBron, I honestly think the only way they're keeping LeBron is if they find a way to get they have to get like Kawhi or something like that of that caliber, or Paul George or something. They have to swing for the fences, and the problem is they have no assets. So
yeah, that's a problem because you need assets for trades usually.
Yes, it's
usually how it works. Yeah, I don't know if CJ McCollum is enough to keep him. Like if Portland for some reason said, "Hey, cool, we'll trade you CJ for the 8th pick," which I don't even think they would, and then they'd have to take one of the terrible Cleveland contracts back. I don't think that's enough. I don't think they have enough to get Kawhi. And really all you have is guilt. That's what you have to play this time as an entire city. You just have to make him feel bad.
I'm crossing my fingers. Trae Young falls to Cleveland. He's terrible for like the first 2 or 3 years. And they run it back with winning the lottery those 2 or 3 years, and they just start staying, and that's just kind of their path. And then suddenly Trae Young figures it out, and in like year 5 or 6, maybe that's how they come back. But anyway,
right. So One Shiny Podcast Tuesday on the Ringer Podcast Network. You and Tate Frazier will be doing all of your last minute draft stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for coming on.
Yep.
One more break to talk about Callaway. They've been a terrific partner for us since day one. Their new Rogue driver, relatively new, delivers exceptional ball speed and real breakthrough in driver performance. Check it out at CallawayGolf.com. And for the best in professional golf talk, check out the Shack House podcast with Joe House and Jeff Shackelford. It is presented by Callaway on the Ringer Podcast Network. They broke down the U.S. Open as it was happening. Sunday night, they had the big reaction of Brooks Koepka winning his second straight U.S. Open. Pretty great. I was also excited that Curtis Strange was realized that nobody now, he's not the back-to-back guy. Now it's Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka. Hard name to say. Phil Mickelson's complete meltdown on Saturday. DJ not being able to get it going. They talk about all that in the Shack House. Check it out. The Shack House podcast presented by Callaway on the Ringer Podcast Network. All right, back to the mock draft. All right, the Knicks are up at number 9.
Woo!
If you've noticed, a recurring theme on this podcast is that the Ringer has a lot of sad, traumatized NBA fans. None more than this man, Jason Concepcion.
It's been a tough haul, low these last 15 to 18 years.
It might even be more than that.
Might even be more than
19 years?
It might have been more than that.
What was your last happy Knicks team? I guess 2013 was fun for about 6 months.
That was fun. Linsanity was great for 3 weeks.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think. The Carmelo fight was awesome.
I enjoyed the Carmelo
Marty
fight.
Collins.
Oh man, Marty Collins. Let me tell you, Larry Brown loved Marty Collins.
Yeah, he really did. Sprewell give the finger to Dolan was fun, even though you're the recipient of that.
I enjoyed that quite a bit. I think he became the avatar for all of us Knicks fans in that moment.
Rough century for Knicks fans.
It's been tough, yeah.
Last year, the Knicks took Frankie Nicotine,
I love
who we haven't given up on.
There's no reason to give up on him. Yeah, he's the offense needs to come around, but he's already one of the elite defensive players in the league on the perimeter.
He's shades of Mookie Blaylock.
I love Mookie Blaylock
Yeah.
for the name of Pearl Jam before they were Pearl Jam.
Right. So the problem with the Knicks is they screwed up last year's draft. They took Frankie Nicotine, who we like, but didn't take Donovan Mitchell, who is a game-changing young player.
Has become increasingly tougher in the rearview mirror to look at that.
Porzingis blows out his knee about 40% into the season. And then somehow all of this doesn't translate to the Knicks getting even a top 8 pick.
They
you land at 9.
They didn't tank correctly. I will say about my son Kristaps Porzingis recently photographed jumping off of a yacht into I believe the waters of the Mediterranean. With a beautiful young woman on the deck of the ship. So I think the healing is coming along nicely.
Okay.
And please don't blow out your knee jumping off of a yacht into the waters of the Mediterranean.
How wacky do we think he is on a scale of 1 to 10?
He's one of the most shameless dudes out here on the social media streets that we've seen. Yeah. It's actually wild.
So you're picking 9th for us.
Yes.
You know who the first 8 picks were?
Yes. I know from
the email that was sent
From
yesterday.
the email that was sent
who do
out.
you have?
I am going to select Colin Sexton.
Oh. Colin with 2 L's.
Colin with 2 L's. Point guard has been a position of need for the Knicks since Rod Strickland.
Yeah.
So love to get a guy who really competes at that position. Obviously, there's some downsides when you're picking at 8. You can't help but have to deal with that.
Not to mention you picked a point guard last year.
Yes.
There's that.
Same as Frankie, not a great shooter.
Yeah.
Questionable scoring skills. Does draw a lot of fouls, which I like, but really competes. I just don't think you can have enough perimeter defenders in the league. Like if he is a poor man's Patrick Beverley, I like it.
So this is a competitiveness character pick for you. He's a very athletic, super competitive, kind of one of those guys who comes through when it matters, responds to the crowd type of guys.
Yes, and he's 19, so like there's a lot of room to grow there. And I think also when looking at his stats, you have to realize he carried like all the load at Alabama. Like he did everything. So he took a lot of tough shots because he was taking all the shots and he was the guy everybody keyed on. So I'm bullish on him. And as I said, need a point guard. Like who's the point guard of the future? Is it Frank? Is it Sexton? Is it Moutier? Like
Moutier.
They need to take as many swings at point guard as they can.
The Knicks and point guards over the last 30 years has been really spectacular.
Yeah, spectacular is a word for it.
Somehow you've had half of the point guards who have ever played in the NBA over the last 30 years. Have all the washed up guys from the 90s made a cameo. They at least did a stop by.
Getting Mark Jackson back
get Steve Nash.
Time.
You got Mark Jackson back the second time. It's amazing Steve Nash didn't have his one totally washed finish his career with the Knicks season.
He used this kind of like as leverage at one point. Like,
yeah, he did.
We need a point guard, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
He used to use leverage, and it led to the Knicks signing Landry Fields for 3 years for like $25 billion.
Love Landry Fields.
That was rough. You should be mad at Steve Nash for that.
Landry Fields' 1 year should go up there as part of Mike D'Antoni's like Hall of Fame case.
Linsanity and Landry Fields.
100%. Yeah.
All right. So you think Frankie Smokes and Sexton can play together, except for the part that the outside shooting has gone completely south.
Right. Now, shooting not that important in today's league as I understand it. The shooting is a huge concern, but
maybe you could save money with the shooting coach because the shooting coach is there with both of them at the same time. It's like a 2-for-1.
Sexton shot like 77% from the free throw line. So I feel like that's a good sign. There's a good basis for him being at least an okay shooter. He shot like 33% from 3. Not great, but also not totally abysmal. Like and he's 19 again. I feel like with reps, the shooting can come around. And like you have Marcus Smart on your team.
Yeah.
Can't shoot at all. Important guy for your team.
I think there is some Marcus Smart, but he's a much better, he's a much more creative.
Yeah. If Sexton can
the dribble guy,
if Sexton can develop into that kind of impact defender on the perimeter, like that's a useful player.
I am excited for the handshakes with him and Enes Kanter and the chest bumps and the screaming after dunks and stuff like that.
Enes Kanter is going to be Colin Sexton's biggest fan. Any draft pick that they take at 8 is going to be Enes Kanter is going to be that person's biggest fan.
What's your sad factor with the Knicks right now? Last questions, 1 to 10.
My sad factor?
Yeah, I mean you've had sadder moments as a Knicks fan, but this feels like a 7.5.
I'm going to put it at 6.
Okay,
I'm not totally sad. There's some glimmers of hope there. But obviously a lot of work to do. I think Fizdale has shown himself to be an elite culture guy in these weeks since he's been hired, just in the way he's presenting himself. So
that'll be the narrative this year is culture.
Culture. We got to build the culture out.
Sexton's a culture guy.
Fizz
is a culture guy.
Frank, culture guy.
We got professionals.
That's right.
I like it.
That's what we need.
All
change the culture.
You can't change the owner, though.
No, I mean, that's the issue. That's part of the problem.
JC, we will see you on NBA Desktop this week.
Yes, that's
got like
correct.
4 more for the season, then we're taking a break.
Yes.
And binge mode Harry Potter, which I promoted before.
Woo!
Yeah, hardest working man in show business. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, picking 10th for the Philadelphia 76ers. The new GM of the Philadelphia 76ers, Chris Ryan. Congratulations.
Thanks, Bill.
They haven't announced it yet. What are they waiting for?
Yeah, I don't know. It must be, maybe they're just going to do a press conference or something I'm not aware of yet.
So we do this story and the GM ends up leaving the team.
Uh-huh.
But it's also your favorite team, and now you don't have a GM and your coach is running your draft.
It takes a village. Yeah.
But your coach is running your draft.
I think
guess
there's
what he
a couple
wasn't
of
doing
people.
during
Mark
the season.
Eversley, Elton Brand, Brett Brown, they're all working on it together.
Brett Brown wasn't watching college basketball during the season. He's like me. He's parachuting
Neither
in.
was I. And I'm here doing a draft.
Brett Brown's on YouTube at 3 a.m. Oh, Colin Sexton. I like this guy. So who do you have? Who do you want them to take? Let's go there and make that pick. But then we can talk about who you would hope falls to them at 10.
Yeah. So in terms of, you want me to draft within our draft or within
Let me recap the draft actually for the listeners who might have blacked out at some point. All right. So first pick, Sharks took DeAndre Ayton for Phoenix. Second pick, Luka Doncic for Sacramento from Riley. Third pick, Jaren Jackson to Atlanta from Danny Chow. Fourth pick, Marvin Bagley from a fired up Chris Vernon, who's all in, really wanted him. Fifth pick, Jason Gallagher took Mo Bamba for Dallas and was sad about it. Was actually sad. Sixth pick, Trae Young. Kevin Clark took him for Orlando. Was excited about that. Seventh pick, Michael Porter from a very scared Robert Mays. Eighth pick, Mikal Bridges goes to Cleveland thanks to Mark Titus. 9th pick, Colin Sexton to the Knicks from Jason Concepcion. Now you're on the clock at 10 with the Sixers.
So after years of rolling my eyes at Al Horford and all of Al Horford's many advanced analytics poets in the NBA media.
Yeah.
And then after watching Al Horford be the best player on the floor for a lot of the Eastern Conference playoffs, especially in the Sixers series.
Yeah.
I am going to draft the next Al Horford, Duke's Wendell Carter.
Oh. I got to say, this was the one pick that shocked me yesterday because of how many big guys the Sixers have taken in drafts.
This is why I wouldn't be a good GM.
This is why you wouldn't be a good GM.
This is why I would not be a good GM. My heart is so set on Mikal Bridges that I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
I don't have a plan B. So I've come up with this one, which is essentially Embiid insurance and a guy who does the little things.
So Titus broke your heart 2 picks ago.
Yes. Yeah.
You wanted Bridges because he's like basically the rich man's Robert Covington.
Right. And if this happens to the Sixers and Kobe Altman breaks up the Sixers' plans, we're in a lot more trouble than I thought we were. But yeah, I basically really wanted a guy who was a slightly more mature, 3-and-D, won 2 national titles, don't overthink this, best player on the best team, really just seems like he could just plug and play right into the Sixers system. And I don't have that. So I'm looking around and I'm thinking, okay, Lonnie Walker, SGA, Knox, like these guys are all like in differing levels projects.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of post projects.
You're post projects.
Yeah. Yeah. I want something that's a little bit more of a sure thing. Even if that sure thing has a lower ceiling.
Can I make the case for Kevin Knox?
Go ahead.
So the Sixers blew it with Tatum last year. Knox is not going to be as good as Tatum, but does some of the things that Tatum would have done hypothetically on that Sixers team last year. The Sixers had him. It's like a second chance, and he's young. He's, I think, the second youngest guy in this draft other than Jaren Jackson in the top 14. He's not even 19 yet. 6'9", can create a shot, can shoot threes. Wouldn't that make more sense?
Can he shoot threes? He feels, Kevin Knox feels very Jeff Green to me.
Well, so the fear is there's Tatum fumes from last year where it's like he could be Tatum, and it's like, no, actually Jason Tatum's Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
This other guy is as tall as Jason Tatum and kind of shoots similarly.
Kentucky guys are really hard to pick. You know that they have a certain amount of athleticism, but the way Calipari uses his dudes at Kentucky is really difficult to project them into their NBA selves.
Yeah.
Devin Booker wound up being a pick and roll guy. Towns wound up being this stretch 4, and that's not how they play at Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was never blown away watching Knox at Kentucky. I was way more into SGA. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked what I saw of Wendell Carter. I liked a lot. What I've read about Wendell Carter, I like a lot.
Well, it does seem like out of all these guys available, he's the one that could easily also go like 5th.
Yeah, and Kevin O'Connor wrote a very convincing thing on The Ringer today about why Wendell Carter might be a better pick than Marvin Bagley.
Right. So thinking about this Sixers team, what you have, Embiid, if he's playing 29, 30 minutes a game, that 18 minutes when Embiid's not in there is crucial. And you had like Amir Johnson
Yes.
and these Darius Sarge playing out of position. And for some reason, they never played Holmes, which I never really understood.
He's an energy guy, but I think he makes a lot of mistakes, and coaches hate mistakes.
Yeah. Okay. So Carter comes in. There's your 18 minutes right there.
Yes.
And your Embiid protection if he goes down again. Okafor's gone.
Absolutely. And
And
also,
he's trade bait potentially too.
yeah, and then if you get Ben Simmons into the cutting to the basket zone, that's really nice to have because Carter's a really good passing big man. So you start having Carter passing out of the off the nail to like a cutting Ben Simmons or a cutting Fultz or Embiid backdoor. I think it's really like I like what he does immediately, and also everything you read about him, sets the screens, good kid, like does all this stuff, is defensively like way farther advanced than a lot of dudes in this draft.
And seems like he got a semi-raw deal at Duke.
Yeah. Well, he was playing behind Bagley. And when Bagley got hurt, he looked really good. And then
Yeah.
Bagley came back.
I think you talked me into this one.
Okay.
You would trade up though, right? In a heartbeat.
I don't know. It seems like it's a 2-person draft to me in terms of like that, or you want to give stuff up for it. Also, I got to tell you, man, I am pretty haunted by trading up. That's not like my favorite thing to hear right now.
So they'll never trade. So if Memphis called you and said, we'll do 4 for 10 and Fultz right now, you wouldn't do it.
And what am I getting it for here?
Marvin Bagley.
No. I'd rather. I mean, honestly, like,
What if Atlanta called you and said, we'll do 3 for Fultz and 10? You can take Jaren Jackson.
I'm okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I think Wendell Carter is more ready to play than Jaren Jackson.
Wow. Chris Ryan coming in hot. All right. That's it for Philly. Thanks, Chris Ryan.
You got it.
All right. Picking 11. Our old friend Tate Frazier.
Good to be back.
You're back.
Yeah.
You graduated from us. Now you're like a podcast host.
Some
come
would
back.
say.
Every once in a while you can come back.
Please, whenever you want me to.
You're picking for your beloved Charlotte Hornets at number 11.
It's a tough pick. It's a tough time. I think it's a new era in Charlotte, as you know. We got Mitch Kupchak, who has come out and said that he and Michael Jordan are not friends. What
does that mean?
He was trying to say, like, basically, like, I'm not going to default to what Michael says just because we have a past friendship. And he even came out and was like, we don't even have that great of a friendship. You know, we knew each other tangentially, but it was
we
more
both
of
love Dean Smith.
Yeah, it was a business thing. It's just because we went to Carolina doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything. So I think the interesting thing now is to see. I think Jordan last year made the Monk pick. I think that was his pick. I think Mitchell was who they wanted to take. And then Jordan came in the last hour and was like, no, we're going to take Malik Monk.
And you think Charlotte wanted to take Mitchell?
Well, that was the plan last year because they wanted to get the Kimba replacement, to get the point guard for the future. You bring him in, let him mature under Kimba. And then Monk was on the table. So they go, hey, we're going to go for best player available. Michael loves him. Because he had 47 against Carolina. Michael Jordan only watches Carolina basketball games.
Yeah, I do like Monk.
So that's what happened last year. And I think this year, if a similar situation were to happen, say Michael Porter Jr. is on the board, if Michael Jordan says, I want to take Michael Porter Jr., I think Mitch Kupchak says, no, we take who we're going to take. So it's a new time, which is nice.
And then Michael Jordan said, no, you didn't hear me. We're going to take Michael Porter.
And then he just sends the card in.
Yeah, this is what we're actually doing. So you like who at 11?
11, I like Kevin Knox.
Okay.
I think they're going to go back-to-back Wildcats with the Calipari kids and bring them in. I think, as you know, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, number 2 pick, hasn't quite panned out. He's had some injuries, some shoulder problems. He still doesn't have a jump shot. They need a small forward. And I think Knox is a guy that they all seem to like. They worked him out. They were a little worried about his shooting. He shot like 34% from 3 last year, but I don't know. I think they buy into Kevin Knox and go for the 6'9" guy and have Marvin Williams and MKG kind of mature and make him grow up a little bit in his first year.
I made the case with Chris Ryan that the Sixers should take Kevin Knox.
I think they need a wing, and I think it's either Bridges or Knox. Right?
Can he shoot threes?
Can who shoot threes?
Knox. So you happy with his 3-point stroke?
No, and I think that's the biggest
thing.
That's the
rub on him.
Yeah,
right?
Well, he has a great mid-range game. It just seems like the biggest thing is people say he doesn't have a motor. That's one of his biggest knocks, which is tough. And then the 3-point shooting, 34% is not great. But I don't know if he has to be that guy in his first year in Charlotte because Kimba shoots all the time.
The fear is it's like the Luke Kennard thing that happened last year, where we had this whole sample size to watch somebody play basketball against other players. The season ends, then we go to the workouts. We were like, Luke Kennard killed his workout yesterday.
Yeah,
wow.
he made 93 out of 100 threes.
Can't believe how well he worked out against nobody.
Yeah.
And then we do this every year, and it seems like Kevin Knox is this year's workout guy. On the other hand, he's young, and I like getting young dudes. I like the fact that he's not even 19 yet. On the other hand, that was the case for James Young when the Celtics took him. He's so young. He got all this playoff or this big game experience already. He's a baby. And then it's like he goes to the NBA and he can't even handle anything.
Absolutely. And I think the thing with Knox too is that a lot of people are worried about what position is he going to play? Can he even play the 3? Does he have the handles to play the 3, or we're going to have to slide him down to the 4? The Hornets do need a power forward because Kaminsky hasn't quite worked out, as you remember that trade.
I did.
That Michael
non-trade.
Jordan, yeah, that Michael Jordan didn't want to do. So that's why it's a new era. So I think people are worried about that. And I think there could be a world in which the Hornets want to go to a power forward and they take a Robert Williams, and people are freaked out because they can't believe that they picked a guy this high.
So your tax, Michael Jordan, your favorite athlete ever.
Yes. You
ride or die with MJ over LeBron like nobody on this Ringer staff except for maybe me. But the tax of the joy that Michael Jordan brought is that he's a terrible owner.
And we just have to deal with it. We're happy to have Michael in Charlotte. It's nice. Unfortunately, most of the time he's in Nassau in the Bahamas, but we take him when he's in town.
It's like having a crazy parent.
Yeah. And
my mom didn't come over for Father's Day yesterday. I still have no idea why. She just wasn't available.
So
It's all right. That's my mom.
Michael is not available to us. He's definitely not emotionally available. He definitely doesn't talk to the people that much. He does the fundraiser, a little bit, but that's about it. I think right now, though, with Kupchak being there, he's going to listen to Kupchak because he respects Kupchak. A lot of the people he just sort of overrode all their decisions. And I think with Kupchak, he'll finally have to listen to him.
I mean, I have to mention Kupchak left the Lakers because he overpaid Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov and completely destroyed their cap space and did such a bad job in LA that that they couldn't even land players who wanted to go there, like LaMarcus Aldridge. And I'm not even sure Kevin Durant met with them.
No. I think that
now that's your new GM.
Well, and
that's not good.
You've made the joke all the time that he wakes till 12 o'clock in the free agency and, plays it by he's very old school in that matter of fact way. But the good thing about Charlotte is no one's coming there as a free agent. I mean, Batum was the biggest thing, and that was because we gave him, $120 million. Of course, he's going to come to Charlotte. I don't think they're going to be in the free agent game. I honestly think that Jordan wants to shred money. He doesn't want to pay all these guys. He has, they're almost in the luxury tax.
Yeah.
I could see them taking that 11 pick, maybe drafting a guy like if Michael Porter Jr. is on the board or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander that people like around the league and trying to take that with the player, shred some salary and make a trade.
Try to, because they are
I
close
think
to
Kupchak wants to trade the pick.
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to fall because it seems like the draft goes 10 deep and then it drops.
Yeah.
But somebody always makes a mistake in the 10.
Donovan Mitchell is the thing that haunts that team. I think it haunts Michael Jordan because I think he knows that Mitchell was the guy that should have taken.
I never knew that story.
Yeah.
I had known that the Knicks were very close with him. And then there was one other team.
Was it the Pistons, right? When they took Kennard?
I think the Pistons were in on Kennard.
They saw that workout.
I think SVG was like, did you see that workout?
It reminds me of Turkoglu, yeah.
I met Mitchell at the finals, and he was like such an impressive guy.
Yeah.
He's like a 38-year-old guy already.
And you would think like the whole rookie t-shirt thing would kind of phase him a little bit when people were kind of giving the backlash. He was like, yeah, I'm still going to wear it because I am a rookie. Sorry.
Well, I don't know whether to tell you congratulations, but thanks for making the case for Kevin Knox.
I don't think there's any congratulations to be had, but I do think if Knox comes in and they replace MKG with Knox, that's
the good news is you have North Carolina basketball.
That's right.
Yeah, you always have that. All right, thanks, Dave Frazier.
Of course, thanks, Bill.
Up next, 12 and 13, the Clippers. Which pick did they get for Blake Griffin, 12 or 13?
12 from Detroit.
Yes, 12.
Yeah.
One of my favorite trades in a while. They dumped an onerous contract. They got Tobias Harris back, who I like. They got Boban, who has become a Ringer favorite. And then on top of that, they got the 12th pick. What else did they get? One more thing, right?
Didn't we get Avery Bradley? And then he's expiring. Yeah.
Maybe, yes.
Right. So we have Isaac, who's producing today's podcast, longtime Clipper fan.
Mm-hmm.
KOC, the Ringer's draft guru. Celtics aren't in the top 14. We couldn't have you pick for them. We decided to make you co-GMs for these two picks. One of the picks is obvious. The other pick is not that obvious. So with the 12th pick, who are you taking?
We took Miles Bridges out of Michigan State. There was no debate between me and Isaac and I for this
Zero
pick.
debate.
Was there, Isaac?
No, I mean, he's a surefire pick. He's not going to be bad. You see him in college. He's a role player. He's not going to be a star necessarily, but he'll be a good player, maybe off the bench, maybe a fifth starter for a long time in the league. He's not going to be bad.
And that's as a baseline. He could become a
absolutely.
really high level player if his offense continues to develop, because there are some things I don't think he got to show within Michigan State's system, but in the NBA, projecting ahead, maybe he develops go-to scoring abilities on top of what he already has as a complementary, athletic, spot up shooter who attacks closeouts and can do a little bit off the dribble. There's a lot of potential there.
So you have on the Ringer's NBA Draft Guide presented by State Farm, we compared him shades of Derek Coleman and Tobias Harris. Interesting fact. I don't know if you guys know this. Tobias Harris is on the Clippers.
Yes.
So I actually like when there's like weird redundant with forwards who are like, is that a power forward or small forward? What is that person? But then you have two of them. Like I liked when the Morris brothers played together in Phoenix. I thought it was effective.
It would be interesting having both those guys on the same team, because Tobias Harris, I feel like he's underrated in a way, because look, he's only going to be 26 this year, nearly averaged 20 points per game, super efficient. He's gotten better over the years. I don't think we should discount him as being like a very important player on a contending type of team.
So you wouldn't trade Tobias Harris 12 and 13 for number 2?
Never. No
for
way.
Doncic. You wouldn't do that.
It would have to be Doncic. I would have to know that it's Doncic.
I'm saying 2.
Okay.
So Sacramento
calls you and says, we'll give you number 2, and here's what we want.
I
You
would
have to
think
take
about
Zach
it.
Randolph's contract back, Zebo 2.0 in the Clips.
Yeah. I mean, I would consider that, and I probably would end up pulling that trigger.
We would say yes.
Yeah,
to
we
that
would
deal.
say
It's
yes to that.
Clippers
If it's Luka, everything's out the window. Like, take Tobias Harris, take whatever.
So Luka to you is a 130 cents on the dollar guy.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's basically what Philly paid for Fultz last year. You do it if the guy's a sure thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, me, Charks, and Danny all have Luka number 1, and having him number 1 in this year's class, which has a lot of really strong prospects, I think is an indicator like this is the guy in this draft, at least in my heart. I mean, I think he is the guy that if you're going to trade up for Luka.
And your gut feeling is that he goes in the top 2, that all this is smoke.
Yeah, I mean, I still think top 3 for him. Even if Sacramento takes Michael Porter or Marvin Bagley at 2, I don't see how Atlanta could pass on him at 3. I just can't see it. I feel like
if Phoenix shocked everyone and took Jaren Jackson number 1, you wouldn't flip out.
If they took Jaren Jackson over DeAndre Ayton,
yeah,
I would be super, super shocked, and I think it would be the wrong choice.
Okay, so you would take you still have the tier of Ayton, Doncic, and then it drops to Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson and Bamba and that whole group there. Yeah.
I still feel like Jackson is a sure thing.
Jackson's going to be really, really good. I'm a Michigan State fan, so I'm biased, but Jackson is like, I think he's he falls in those surefire picks. Like, he's not going to be bad.
Can I just point something out though?
Jeez.
With Jaren Jackson, he had more fouls per 100 possessions than Marquise Chris, more than Karl Anthony Towns as a freshman.
I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, but did you watch Michigan State? Tom Izzo did not do a good job with that team this year.
Sure. But Jaren Jackson, he's going to be a good player, right? He's going to be a good player, but to be an elite defender, he's going to have to cut down his foul rate. And other great defenders have had high foul rates as freshmen. Joakim Noah did. Joel Embiid did. So there's a chance he goes down that path, but there's also a chance he has difficulties, not biting at pump fakes, not chasing every block that's available like Karl Anthony Towns. There's no such thing as a guarantee, but I would bet on him going down the other path.
Man, this has been a rough podcast for Jaren Jackson.
Seriously,
we talked him up early, and now it's flipped on him.
The KOC just with the Kevin O'Bomber off the top rope.
Doesn't know what happened.
It's just like I'm in the process of like, do I want to have Jaren Jackson ahead of this guy or that guy? I don't think I can put him ahead of Bamba.
Let's go back to
really?
Yeah.
You take Bamba over Jackson.
Here we go.
Sorry.
I didn't know this was going to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't know this was going to happen either.
Because we had Gallagher begrudgingly take Bamba at 5.
Come
for
on,
Dallas.
Jason.
He didn't even feel that great about it. And he said the only reason he did it was because you whipped a glass of Bamba Kool-Aid at his face. And he still had the DNA from the Kool-Aid in his hair.
I did. It's true. I did do that.
So you're all in on this is going to be the hill that you die on this year.
That Mo Bamba is going to be a really, really good player.
Last year's hill was Jason Tatum, which was a great hill.
Pretty good hill, yeah.
What was the year before? 16. Simmons, Brown.
It depends. Around that time, in Boston sports media, I was going to radio shows and everybody's saying Jaylen Brown's a non-shooter. And I was like, no, Ben Simmons is a non-shooter. Jaylen Brown can shoot. It's just a matter of what level he reaches as a shooter. And he's exceeded expectations.
So you were on the Jaylen Brown hill in 16.
Yeah, kind of. For
what
Boston
was the last bad hill you were on? Jaleel Okafor?
No, I mean, I had Okafor at number 2, which feels so dumb in hindsight. So
we didn't know.
But I'm not sure if I was on a hill, but that was a really bad one. Having Brandon Ingram ahead of Ben Simmons.
The Lauri Markkanen F+.
One. Yeah, I mean, I'm still happy with my Lowry evaluation. I'm happy with it.
I love that. This is great.
The F+ was in the moment, Ruby was sitting there like, I need a grade. And I was like, F+ because I thought the deal was bad, giving the 16th pick in the draft. I still think that was silly.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that.
The F+ was a mistake. It should have been like a C+ for the pick.
Do you still hear it from the Bulls fans about Lauri?
All the time. Yeah. It's the funniest thing.
Well, listen, you can't go 100% on these.
Of course
Miles
not.
Bridges, is he a starter for the Clippers in the next 2 years?
You think so, right?
Yeah, I think he can start at the 2 next to Toby Harris, or Toby Harris at 4 and him at 3. But I think Miles Bridges projects to be kind of like a good Jay Crowder, maybe. Like he's thick framed. He can guard 3s and 4s.
That's a good thing.
That's a good player to have.
I like good Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder on Utah was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he had some moments with the Celtics. KOC and I were trying to warn everybody that he was overrated, but now he's like weirdly underrated. So Harris, Bridges, Boban.
Boban at the 5 if DeAndre leaves.
DeAndre's not leaving.
He's staying? You think he's staying for
I
sure?
don't think that money's out there
I
for
think
him.
he's going to opt in. I do.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
He's
you
going to opt in
in.
this year, but
You
you're
opt
saying
in-
2 years down the road. Who
Yeah,
knows
but I'm
what'll
saying
happen
next
with him.
season he's there.
Yeah, next season he's here.
Because he's not getting $24 million from
Oh, no
anybody,
way.
so-
No way.
This is something we discuss when discussing like who are we going to pick. It's like, well, is DJ going to opt in, or are we going to let that influence our decision? And ultimately, it was no, we're not.
Also, you have Gallo
We have Gallo.
for the 38 games he'll play before he gets like plantar fasciitis.
Him.
or
We have
whatever.
Milos. We have Pat Bev. Who
Pat
knows
Bev's
if
back.
any of those three will be healthy, honestly. But
Your favorite Clipper, Austin Rivers.
no comment on Austin
The
Rivers.
greatest Clipper.
Oh my goodness.
And then we left somebody out. There's one other good one.
Lou Williams. He's
Lou
under
Williams,
contract
who
for the
almost made
next
the
year.
All-Star team.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team. All right, who are you taking at 13?
So at 13, Isaac and I debated this one. We got into a good argument over the phone.
Yeah.
Isaac wanted Lonnie Walker, Miami wing, and I wanted Troy Brown, a wing from Oregon.
So this is a tiny bit high for Troy Brown, right?
A little bit high.
People have him in the like 16 to 18 range.
We ultimately went with Troy Brown.
Yeah.
And
Explain it. So what's the comp for him?
It's my head if Brown doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Troy Brown, we have comps for him as Chris Middleton, Evan Turner, DeAndre Bembry, which isn't the most impressive group. However,
Chris Middleton I like him
you
though.
think about like the good qualities from some of those guys, Chris Middleton, Evan Turner. Troy Brown is a versatile defensive player who can also handle the ball. So he's like Turner in that sense where he can do different things for you.
But better shooter, right?
But better shooter. I mean, he shot only 29% from three last year, but 74% from the line. He's in the process of making some tweaks to his mechanics that seem to
Yeah, his
help.
shot looks a little weird.
Yeah, it's not a great shot. However, he has everything else. He has the playmaking. He has the vision. He has the body to defend multiple positions. But he also has what I think is really important. He's one of the highest character guys in the draft, one of the quote unquote hardest working guys in the draft. And if I'm going to bet on somebody to reach their potential, whatever it may be, I would bet on a guy like Troy Brown. And for the Clippers with that pick, I think you're getting a guy who can plug into whatever type of system you're running moving forward with his versatility. And then if his shot does start to click, which I think it can because he has solid touch, then you get a really, really, really good player on your hands, like a Middleton Turner combo type, which I think is pretty damn good.
Yeah, we forgot to mention Harrow, who I really like.
Oh yeah, Montrezl Harrell. Yeah, Trezzy's good.
Ultimate energy guy.
Yeah, really, really good energy guy. He's doesn't have the crazy contract that Fareed does, but does everything that Fareed does basically.
The Clips actually have too many guys. If they do take Miles Bridges and he's a rotation guy,
no, we don't have
that's
enough
like a
wings.
10-man
though.
rotation.
We have a lot of guards. We have a lot of bigs. We don't have a lot of wings.
You don't have the 6'7".
Yeah, we need
We
that-
have
we
the
need
great
that
Wesley
6'7".
Johnson back for his 9th year.
Yes.
The great.
So you need to improve Wesley Johnson. So this could be the improvement.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, but Troy Brown is what? He's 6'7", he's 6'6", 6'7". He has a long wingspan.
6'7", 6'10" wingspan. It's not super long.
Yeah,
But
my
anyways.
thing is he can play great defense for you, right? He hustles hard. He'll play lockdown defense in the perimeter. He needs to bulk up a little bit, but he can potentially defend in the post. But his biggest factor is who knows if his shot's going to develop. You're confident, KOC, that his shot will develop.
I mean,
but his shot looks like a catapult.
We've been down this stage before with Justice Winslow and Stanley Johnson, a long list of guys who live to improve their shot. But I think he's at a better starting point at this stage. And really, it's just betting on like one of the high IQ players, one of the youngest guys that's going to go in the first round, one of the highest character guys in the draft. It's betting on really him, the person, as much as it is
Can I ask a
him, the
question?
player.
Sure.
I love that you guys are pretending that Lonnie's not going to be the pick here.
I like Lonnie Walker for this.
I'm the one pretending.
Yeah, you're the only one with the pretense
Like
here.
I said, it's my head if Troy Brown doesn't work out.
I think you can lock down Lonnie Walker. Everything I've read, all the concerns, all the red flags, it just feels so Clippers to me.
It would be
just
a
feels
very
like
Clippers
a perfect
pick.
Clippers pick.
Yeah, and with him, like he just kind of looks like a player that the Clippers need. So I can see that front office.
The on paper Lonnie, yeah,
on
he's
paper, it's like, oh yeah,
explosive.
this guy can score from anywhere on the court, and he drives right, and he can score near the rim and all that stuff.
And the one thing that I brought up when we debated this pick was that, he had a torn meniscus last year.
Yeah.
And he had multiple knee injuries in high school as well, where it's like, that's just it's something on my mind when I'm making that pick.
We're not afraid of injuries. We have Pat Bev
No,
on our
you're not.
team. We have
Definitely not.
Danilo Gallinari on our team. We had Blake Griffin and we traded him away, and we got Avery Bradley in return, who's also injured. We have a lot of injuries on our team. We're not afraid of it.
And that's one of the reasons why I'd like a guy that you could feel confident will definitely be on
Can I
the
ask a
floor.
question? Why wouldn't you take Zaire Smith here?
He was on our board, and Zaire. I think we wanted somebody where we had a little bit more confidence in what he'll be on the offensive end of the floor. Zaire Smith, elite athlete, can become a really, really high level defender. Not a lot of ball handling there. The shooting is a question mark.
He's also undersized, and that's kind of a concern with. We have a lot of guards who can already defend. I mean, Austin Rivers, as much as I have
pretty good defender,
have a high level distaste for Austin Rivers, but he can defend guards. We need wing defense. That's what we need.
Robert Williams as the DJ a year from now replacement doesn't make sense.
We kind of wanted to get away from that DJ mold, I think, and plus DJ probably back. A little bit of a factor.
Yeah, if I'm gonna have a big guy who shoots 50% from the free throw line, I'd rather have the guy who's proven that he can actually play defense. And Robert Williams can be good.
Again,
he just reminds me exactly of DeAndre Jordan. I don't know if I want to sign up for a younger DeAndre Jordan
You're paying
again.
DJ $30 million, and Robert Williams will be in a rookie contract.
So. I wonder what the most Jerry West pick is. He usually goes for the upside.
Trading up.
Yeah. So that's the thing. We're all pretending they're not going to trade up, but I feel like they're going to trade up.
They're going to try to get a star. I think it would be a wrong choice.
Michael Porter, baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
Isaac's worst nightmare.
That would be a very Clippers pick, though.
If he's on the board at 7 for the Bulls, would you trade 12 and 13 for 7?
Anything else on the deal? Just 12 and 13.
I'll throw you back Bobby Portis.
I like Bobby Portis. I wouldn't do it, but I'm also not as high in Porter as the Clippers might be. I wouldn't do it if I'm the one making
It seems like the Clippers want to come out of this draft with a star.
With a star. Ballman wants a star, and in turn, Jerry West also wants a star. And for me, as a Clippers fan, I've seen too many, we've drafted Eric Gordon back in the day. We drafted Bledsoe the year right after that. And we're trying to get these ball handling guys who can potentially be a star or whatever. And that's never worked out. It's worked out once, Blake Griffin, but he was a surefire pick.
All right, let's move to Denver. Haley was going to come in. Haley O'Shaughnessy. She's got strep throat.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
She was at the pharmacy getting antibiotics. She's like, I'll come in anyway. We're like, no. First of all, nobody wants you breathing all over us. You have strep throat. Stay out of the office. That is a Ringer policy. If you're sick, stay home. We don't take it personally.
Yeah.
But she did send us a pick. So who'd she take?
She took Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Kentucky.
Nice.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, doesn't hurt to add another guard on top of everything else they already have, I suppose.
But Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that feels like a New Orleans with their three-headed point guard monster that they had.
I actually like the fit for him there because he's not a shooter, but there's a lot of shooting around him.
Yeah.
You can get away with the one guy who's not a shooter.
But he is a defender.
He's a defender.
And
he's
that adds
an
a nice mix.
But what about the part that he's not great at creating for others?
I mean, I think he can pass. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can pass the ball. He has passing vision. It's really about he doesn't have that elite first step. He doesn't have that burst. So the shot creation in the half court, I'm not sure he can be your only playmaker on the court. You need others on him, which is why having Jamal Murray alongside him, having a Gary Harris, having a Nikola Jokic, the best passing center in basketball. That's what I think is a really, really smart, good fit for him. So I like Haley's pick.
Can I tell you what I think?
Sure.
I wouldn't take a point guard unless it was a sure thing anymore. There's too many point guards. I would use the draft for wings and all players that there just aren't enough of. I can get a point guard every year. I can get, if I'm Denver, I can just sign Shane Larkin for $5 million a year. And next year he'll be as productive as this kid will in his first year. Unless you're drafting somebody at point that you feel like can be an all-star, I would just not take a point guard ever.
But
Trae Young is an exception, right? Trae
Young's an exception.
There's a chance he could be really good.
He could be a transcendent shooter. Potentially.
So I get that. But once we start drifting into this and I'm still in the teens, I want dudes who are unlike other guys in the league. I want wings. I would rather roll the dice with Zaire Smith and hope he's good.
He is a little different as a wing, though. At 6'6", with a near 7-foot wingspan. That makes him unique as a guard.
But if you said he can't shoot,
well, to your point, right?
And he's not explosive first step. So it's how am I getting offense out of him?
And that's exactly why I'm bumping him down my board on the next update. I like him a lot as a player because of his defensive ability, but you're essentially saying yes, he's different for a guard, 6'6" with a near 7-foot wingspan, but why not draft the actual wing that's 6'7", beefy, muscular with a 7'2" wingspan?
I see
over the guard, right?
I agree with the logic with the Haley pick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, me personally, I just wouldn't take point guards in drafts unless I thought they could make an all-star team. I think it's too easy to just every year grab somebody. Every year they're around. You go get Dennis Schroeder probably right now.
Yeah.
From Atlanta. You could probably offer Atlanta the 14th pick and something else and just get him instead. You know? I just think these guys are out there.
I actually thought about
Rozier was just
Rozier.
He was buried on a bench forever.
Yeah, I actually thought about floating SGA as the Clippers' 13th pick, but then I voted against it because he kind of reminds me of Michael Carter Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Carter Williams is on the cusp of, is he out of the league? Is he in the league still?
Yeah, he's not good.
He's a forgettable player, basically.
It's point guard, you need to be able to shoot or get to the rim.
Yeah.
Is Rozier worth what pick, you think? Like if Boston called
right
Denver
around
and
this
said,
range,
yeah,
I think maybe a little bit lower, right around maybe where he got drafted, 16th.
But if Boston called Denver and said, we'll give you Rozier for 14, I think Denver does that.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat,
I
I
don't
think
so.
Really?
If with the guys that are on the table right now, I'd rather have Terry Rozier. You wouldn't?
I think Denver would take the proven commodity.
Would you take him for the Clips?
I would take him
for 13.
For 13, yeah, I would take him.
Yeah, like we still have a Lonnie Walker on the board. You're talking about wings, right? Or a guy like Lonnie Walker, a super athlete. I think you may rather have the years of that guy, whoever it may be at 14, over a guy who's going to be a free agent in a year is going to want a big payday.
2 years.
Next summer. I mean, Rozier next summer will be
restricted though.
Yeah, so it's like but then you got to pay him.
Yeah.
Next summer. So maybe you'd rather have the 4 years of the guy on a rookie contract rather than the guy who's about to be in the he hopes 16, 17 million, maybe more like 12.
I'm punting once all the all-stars are gone in the draft. It's my draft mentality.
But you don't know though. Like you still have a shot.
You're really high on this draft. We talked about this yesterday.
We have.
I don't think this is actually a very deep draft, but you think it is.
I think it drops off after Miles Bridges.
It does drop off around like the 12 or 13-ish area. There's a drop off, but then at that point of the drafts, no matter who you ask in the NBA, everybody agrees like from 15 to 40, like it's flat. Where like some people are going to have their 15th player, another team might have him 40th. Some people are going to have their 30th player, another team might have him 20th.
Right.
So it's that type of draft where if you are drafting at that spot and the guy that you have ranked 10th on your board at 14, I think you'd rather have that guy that you perceive as the 10th best player over Terry Rozier.
All right, here's the ringer draft. Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton. Sacramento, Luka Doncic. Atlanta, Jaren Jackson. Memphis, Marvin Bagley. Dallas, Mo Bamba. Orlando, Trae Young. Chicago, Michael Porter. Cleveland, Mikal Bridges. New York, Colin Sexton. Philadelphia, Wendell Carter. Charlotte, Kevin Knox. Clippers, Miles Bridges, Troy Brown. And then Denver, what's the guy's name? I'm not
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, I'm 6 months away from being able to say it correctly. Call him the hyphen guy.
Just say SGA.
SGA. Perfect. That's it. So what else do we have going this week? We're going to be live on Thursday, right?
On Wednesday as well. I think we're doing some type of podcast.
We're doing a Tuesday draft preview podcast that will be up on Wednesday morning.
On the Ringer NBA show.
On the Ringer NBA show.
And then during the draft, we're going to be in our little chapel studio, filming videos, taping podcasts, all that stuff.
It's going to be a good ass time.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin O'Connor. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
Thanks to all the Ringer people that joined us for this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget about Courtside on HBO, Tuesday night, 9:00. Thanks to ZipRecruiter. Check them out at ZipRecruiter.com/BS. Back on Wednesday with another BS podcast. Until then.